All right, Eastern Bloc Airgun is back with a comparative gun review between an regulated and unregulated cheaper gun. Now, the reason I did this review is because I just had a buddy who asked me to get him a gun, find a really good one, because he's just started getting into it, is just starting to get interested in PCPs, and wanted me to go out and find him a good one that was under 500. And boom, I found an unregulated J-Con Noble C on the Airgun Nation forum. And I grabbed it and I started shooting it, and I realized, wow, it's been a while since I even messed with an unregulated gun. I slowly, over the last 2-3 years, I came under the impression that unregulated guns are light years behind regulated guns. And that is not exactly the case, and that was kind of a surprise to me. So I decided to make a video on it. Now the gun I'm comparing it to is my good old trusty Lelia. I have not shot this in a few months because I've been so wrapped up with other guns I've been testing that I was so glad to get it out and compare these, because both of these guns are actually shooting the same ammo at the same speed. So it's a great way to compare them and see where, if any, shortcomings this one has compared to this one. And I was surprised and shocked by the results, and I'll go over that later. So anyway, you're going to see in this video 3 different ranges. It's going to be 25 yards, I'm going to compare the two guns. 50 yards, I'm going to compare the two guns. And then I went out to about 71 yards and compared the two guns. And the results were kind of eye-opening. I didn't exactly realize what the results were going to be. And I'm going to show you the video, but I'm not going to show scope cam footage because I don't want you guys to know exactly which gun I'm shooting. And I'm going to hide the report with music. And I'm going to just label each gun Gun 1 or Gun 2. And you're not going to know which gun it is. Try to guess which one is the unregulated Noble C, J-Con Noble C, or the Airgun regulated Lelia. And see if you can guess. We'll see if it's possible and see if a person will know immediately which one's a regulated and unregulated. And here's 25 yards. Yeah, before I start this video, I gotta talk about the scopes. Now, my buddy's budget was $500 for the gun and scope, so I didn't have any choice. I got the gun for $500, so I had to use the cheapest scope that I had to shoot with and give him. I'm gonna give him. It's an old crossbow scope. Now this scope, it's not a bad scope. It's only 3 power, but I got it for free. My dad bought a crossbow, took off this scope, put a better one on, and I had this one laying around. I didn't pay a cent for it, and so I threw it on just to test this gun. And you'll be surprised because this gun, this Lelia, has a 10X SWFA. So this is a $400 scope, and this is pretty much free scope that just works. All it does is hold 0. The only thing it really does is a scope like this, just hold 0. If you don't do turrets, if you don't do anything else, you hold 0. And then I'll show you the picture of the reticle if I can. It's just a crossbow reticle, and it just has lines for drop compensation, which is good. I mean, nothing about it's bad, but nothing's good. So this gun being unregulated and having this scope, you would think it's light years behind the Lelia. But let's see. Here's gun number 1 in 25 yards. See what you think. No way. Holy shit. Alright, there's a couple days later and I got sidetracked on something and I gotta end this video. In conclusion, let's go over the results. Boom, 25 yards, about the same. Way under a ½ inch, both of them at 25 yards. No difference. 2, boom, 50 yards. One gun is clearly tighter than the other gun. So this is, let's go back. This is gun number 1, gun number 2 the same. Gun number 1, gun number 2, different. Is this a difference between the regulated and unregulated? Well, I'll explain it here in a second. Boom, 71 yards. Boom, clear difference. Are you gonna, now's the time of the truth. Which gun is which? Is this the regulated one since it's tighter? And it has, and this is the one that's spread out more because of it's unregulated and it has a smaller scope? No, it's completely different. All right, today on this day that I shot, the Lilia shot worse than the unregulated, cheaper Korean-made J-Con. Not because it's better. Not because of a regulator. It shot better simply because it does the approximately the same as an unregulated gun. If you tune it properly, perfectly to a set of ammo and shoot only within that window. I made a graph. This gun originally was shooting about 920. I tuned it down perfectly to 18 grain to try to match it with the Lilia. And from here, the top of the first magazine to the end of the third magazine is only about a 25 foot per second spread. And that, at 75 yards, is not going to matter. It's maybe a milli-inch or something lower from here to here. But it's not going to matter. You're still going to hit your quarry. And this Lilia, let's talk about this Lilia. This is $1,100 gun more than the J-Con, used J-Con, which is over half a decade old probably. Why did it perform poorly? First off, I was on the bench. This gun never does good on the bench for several reasons. First off, it's awkward. It's made for offhand. You need a certain bags to prop it up correctly and be able to shoot steadily off it. I didn't have those bags. 2, this scope, since the gun's so small, this gun wants to tilt. The scope has a lot of weight in it. When you try to put in the bags, it wants to always tip. 2, 3, this is a hunting trigger. For bench work, a hunting trigger just doesn't work as good. This is a perfect hunting trigger at 2.5 pounds. I can feel through gloves when my fingers are numb in late November, December. I can shoot this no problem. And finally, the most important reason why this regulated gun did not perform is a dirty barrel. If you have a dirty barrel and on a regulated gun, it completely destroys it. It will do horribly. Any gun will do horribly, regulated or unregulated, if the barrel's not clean. And I forgot to clean this barrel when I put it away. I was gonna do it, and then I realized at the range that I never cleaned it. So all the money you spend on a gun, if you don't have a clean barrel, it's worthless. All that regulator, all the precision, everything is worthless if the barrel's not clean. So that's why this gun performed better. Now, I want to tell all your air gunners, if you shoot under 70 yards, I guess what I'm trying to say in conclusion, if you're going to be a casual air gunner and you want a PCP just to a hand pump and store in the closet and take out occasionally to plink in the backyard or shoot a rabbit in the garden or stuff like that, please save yourself a lot of money and buy something like this and tune it for an ammo. Tune it. I mean, if I work within the parameters of an unregulated rifle and tune it correct, the differences are kind of minor. There's even some advantages. Like this gun has a much smaller air tank. The only advantage it has, much smaller air tank, but I get 60 shots with the 300 bar fill. This gun, it only fills the 200 bar, and I get 30 shots with a larger air tank. So, but if I keep it in with inside its parameters that it can operate under 75 yards with, there's no advantage this gun has over this one. And for a casual air gunner who's maybe be hand pumping, and it's going to take it out occasionally just to plink, do not waste your money on thinking you need something expensive. This works completely adequately if you're going to shoot in the backyard. Save yourself $1,000 and get a setup like this. That's, I guess, what I'm trying to say by making this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Yeah, one other thing. There's an advantage in cold weather that an unregulated gun has. This gun in cold weather operates more consistently than a regulated gun. I've seen a lot of regulated guns. Their regulators go to crap. Much in the same way the Challenger blew up. Like the O-rings shrink in cold weather and let air escape through into the plenum. And your $1,600 regulated gun in 20-degree weather is going to be acting horribly. You're going to be losing tons of power because there's too much, the O-rings are failing, like the Challenger. So this gun, the reservoir is always going to be what the pressure is in the reservoir and be firing from that reservoir's pressure. So it's going to be more like consistent. It'll be less in the cold weather. It won't shoot as fast, but each shot is going to be more consistent than the regulated gun in really cold weather most of the time. I do have some guns that have no problem. Like the Lily really doesn't have any problem in the cold weather, but other guns I see a drastic difference when they're regulators in cold weather. So because of this, I just decided I'm going to buy a unregulated gun somewhere, and I'm going to use it for winter hunting. And similar to this, if I didn't buy this for my friend, I probably would keep this one and paint it white and use it in cold weather or something. But I'm going to pick out another one. I'm going to have to do some research and find a good unregulated gun just like this for cold weather.